Hello, my name is Anderson. Some of you might know me from the college reaction videos that I did. It's about a week ago, and there was a part 1, part 2, acceptance montage, rejection, waitlist montage, the NYU acceptance, which is a miracle, and finally the full version. This is the aftermath of all those things after things have cooled down a bit from the NYU acceptance, which was crazy. And this video will show you and tell you how I got into NYU Stern with a full scholarship. That's crazy. First things first, don't mind the hoodie. This was all I could wear right now. I didn't get into USC if you watch the videos. So if I had any NYU merch, I would wear it, but I've never been there. So sadly, this is all I can wear for now. Let's look at the context first of all. So before I tell you the story of the entire process, the first thing I want to say is how things led up to this moment. So let's see here. Grades 9 and 10, I was in an international school in Korea. Grades 11 and 12, they were in an American public school, meaning before the most important year of high school, there was a huge split, not even school switching, country switching. And people might think that's crazy because junior year is the most important year ever. And people have asked me how that's even possible. Why would you switch countries before junior year? And I must admit, it was kind of hectic and chaotic, but I got pretty used to it. It was fine with me. But that's the context. Leading up to this moment, country switch, I was in a pretty hectic situation compared to others who stayed in schools all 4 years and managed to continue their activities for all 4 years, whatever it was, orchestra, sports, music, performance, anything. For me, all those activities were cut in the middle, meaning that I couldn't continue orchestra or music or swimming from grade 10 to 11. It just stopped for the 2 years, putting me at a pretty big disadvantage. Well anyways, now that we got the context through, let's dive right into the video. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to be showing you my stats, starting with the GPA. I'm going to be honest with you, my GPA isn't really the best thing. I have my computer here, if you couldn't see. I'm just going to be referring to the computer for this. So GPA. My GPA wasn't honestly the best thing ever. So there's a saying that senior year first semester is a very important, probably a most important semester for grades. And I should say, my senior year first semester was the worst one there was of all the 7 before I applied. Some of you might be like wondering, how did you even mess that up that badly? And it just happened. I never had 2 Bs before, in a single semester before, and senior year, that was it. Let me set it down for you. From freshman year to junior year, I had 2 Bs. That means 2 Bs in 6 semesters or 3 years. In senior year first semester alone, 1 semester, I had 2 Bs, meaning that was the worst semester there was ever yet. So basically, I just built up, and then it just crashed down in senior year, which would have put me at a severe disadvantage, honestly. But then I got into Stern, which means, GPA isn't everything. Just senior year first semester isn't everything. It's not like 100% the factor. There are other factors that might outweigh GPA, especially first semester of senior year, and I learned it, well, kind of the hard way. So what classes did I take? Well, I set it down, like senior year, you just don't go easy on it. You have to set it down with APs, or that's what I think at least. You gotta show the colleges that you didn't give up yet. Senior year isn't all. You're showing your best, even in your last year. So I put many APs, and yeah, I mean, 2 of them were even required by senior year, like GovPol and macroeconomics. Even those, like, they're all APs. You've got to show the colleges that you're all in, even to the very end. So my unweighted GPA, I'm not going to go into very specifics, but 3.9 plus and all those. I'm pretty sure there are many other people who are much better than me, which doesn't put me at a good situation either. Again, this shows that you don't need a perfect score of 4 or like 3.97 or whatever, those crazy GPA numbers, just to get into a university, a good one. And you can get a 3.9 and get into a good one. And there are plenty of other factors other than GPA that matter in this whole process. So that's going to be it for GPA talk. Just keep in mind that my GPA wasn't the best thing there ever was, because there are certainly people who've been, just blasting those straight A's for all 8 semesters, and I'm not one of them, so I'm different. Maybe we can talk about the SAT now. I'm going to be talking about the SAT 1 test, like the full exam, and the SAT subject tests that I took. So SAT 1, or the full test, I'm going to be calling it SAT 1 for those of you who are wondering, I took the SAT 1 3 times. March 2018, December 2018, and March 2019. Was a very long process because there was preparation leading up to it, not only the tests. The very first SAT I took in March 2018, I got a 1520, which wasn't good because there was certainly room for improvement. For example, I didn't get a perfect 800 in math, which should be a freebie, honestly, for, well, stereotypical Asians. You know, we have to get 800s in math because we're not the best at English, obviously. So we got to do the best in what we could do so that there is more room for error in English. But I didn't get a full score in math, so I got a 1520 in March 2018. So I tried a second time in December 2018. Need I say, I got the exact same score, 1520, with the exact same sub-scores, meaning I couldn't even use it for a super score. So I got really pissed, honestly. And so I had to take it for a third time. I was like, yep, this is it. I need to go all out. This is all in or nothing. So I took it in March 2019, and I got the best scores for both categories. I got a perfect score in math, got a much higher score in English, and total I got a 1560. And some of you might be thinking, dude, that's not even close to like what others on YouTube making these stats videos are showing. And yeah, that is true. I've seen people who've gotten like, I mean, they're probably certainly kids who've got like 1600s, but I've seen like students who get like 1570 and 1580, and congrats for them. But I'm just showing that over 1550 is good enough when getting into good colleges, and certainly for me, 1560 was enough to get me into NYU Stern, although I'm pretty sure it wasn't the only factor that got me in. 1560 is enough, and there might be another group of you who might be thinking, dude, 1550 is insane, how do you expect me to go there? Yeah, that is true, but again, as I'm saying, there are plenty of other factors that you can do other than SAT and GPA that you can go all in on just so that you can get in. 1550 is a pretty big challenge, but I encourage you, you need to study and get it as high as possible so that it is one of those smaller ways that you can stand out from the rest of the people. Yeah, I've seen plenty of people who got mad at me for like retaking the test after I got a 1520. They were like, how are you mad at a 1520? Like, they would die for a 1520. I was like, you don't understand, man. But yeah, it just depends on the person, you know. Everyone can't be happy with, you know, whatever score. Like, I'm pretty sure there are people who are not happy with 1580s or 70s, and they would retake it for 1600s. Now, those people I wouldn't get. Same for maybe some of you who are watching this. Some of you might be like, 1520, you don't need to retake it. So it's like, it just depends on the person, if you know what I'm saying. SAT subject tests, I took 4 total: Math 2C or Level 2, Chemistry, Korean with listening, and Physics. Now, Math 2C, I got a perfect 800. There's a saying in Korea that if you don't get an 800 on the math test, you're stupid, which is, you know, stereotypical of Asians as well, because their saying is like, if you have a calculator and it just does all the work for you, you can't not get an 800. So it's a freebie, basically. That's what they say. And for me, I'm gonna be honest here, that 800 was a pretty risky one. One more question wrong, I probably would have gotten a 790 because I counted it up, pre-calculated it, and there was like a 50-50 chance of me getting 790 or 800. Thankfully, I got an 800. That was like fingers crossed, really. That was when I was in sophomore year. Chemistry, I took it also in sophomore year. I got a 780 for that. Now, here's the thing with chemistry. I hated chemistry. I absolutely hated chemistry. I knew nothing about it too. But in 6 weeks, I learned everything to know for SAT Chem, and I got a 780. And I think that was amazing. Just knowing nothing from zero to like, you just learn everything in 6 weeks, which was like impossible, and just take the SAT chemistry test and get a 780, which is a pretty high score. And obviously it's very fast paced, 85 questions, I think, last time I remembered. So that was a pretty good accomplishment for me. Korean with listening, I didn't get an 800. I am Korean and I can speak fluent Korean, but I got a 790, not perfect, because the supervisor interrupted my listening part, so I got a question wrong. This is in one of my older videos where I do talk about it, and I said the exact same thing. Still, that's still a pretty big annoyance to this day. Physics, I took it, both Korean and physics, I took it in junior year. Physics, I got a 760 on. Obviously not the best score. Pretty sure there are others who did much better. 760, not bad. Over 750 just shows that, I can do other stuff than business. I can do STEM related things. And honestly, most of these SAT subject tests that I took are pretty STEM related. Math, chemistry, physics, although math is like a basic one. It's pretty STEM related. It's like showing that I can do all these STEM related things other than business. So I guess that's a good thing. For SAT, I suggest that you take it, you prepare for it and take it in sophomore year, because that is just the earliest you can, that's the earliest you should be going. So freshman year, you've gone overboard. That's a bit overkill. Sophomore year, I think, is the best time, because junior year, you have APs coming up, and senior year, that's just way too late. I've seen some seniors, preparing their first SATs in senior year. Don't do that. That's way too late. And there's a number of limited times that you can take the SAT. It's very stressful. You're writing your apps in senior year. In junior year, you have your APs. It's stressful. Don't do it. Do it in sophomore year. Start it at least in sophomore year, so that if you need improvement, you can carry some of that experience over to junior year. That's what I did with subject tests and SAT 1, and I'm certain it helps. Starting it in sophomore year early on, not like cramming it all in junior year or senior year even. Take my advice on this, trust me. All right, let's talk about AP subject tests. I took 8 total before I applied, 1 in freshman year and 7 in junior year. Yes, that's pretty crazy. People call me crazy for taking 7 AP tests in junior year, and I agree, but it wasn't stressful for me for some reason. It wasn't. Let me break it down for you. So because I was in Korea at an international school for freshman and sophomore year, our AP rules were kind of strict. Freshman, you couldn't take it in school, so I had to take AP psychology outside of school. Got a 5 for that. In sophomore year, I didn't take anything because the school would only allow people to take AP Bio, AP US History, and AP World History. I hated all 3 of that, so I just took nothing in school. Just nothing. I just hands up, gave up on it. So I had to make up for that, right, in junior year. So I took 7. 3 of them were in school, classes. 4 of them were outside of school that I just study on my own, outside of class, outside of school. And those subjects include Calculus AB, Chemistry, Composite Principles, AP Lang, Physics 1, Physics C, Mechanics, not Electrics, Statistics, and yeah, those are the 7. And it was pretty crazy. People still call me crazy for doing 7. I've seen people who take 8, like 1 or 2 people, not at my school, but people who came from other schools. I haven't seen a 9 yet, but 7 is still pretty crazy. So that's, I guess, one example that you shouldn't follow. You don't take 7 APs in junior year. You got to balance it out a bit. 7, don't do 7. It wasn't stressful for me because I just cracked on. The schedule was crazy too. So there are 2 weeks, right? It was a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then next week it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 1 test per day, luckily. I've seen a guy who took 4 AP tests and they were in 2 days. Let's say Thursday morning, afternoon, Friday morning, afternoon. That was crazy. I got lucky. But yeah, don't follow what I did. You gotta balance it out. Let's say you did 3 in sophomore year and 4 in junior year. That's more balanced. It's less stressful maybe for you who do get stressed by this. For me, it was manageable, but certainly I don't want to do it again. Obviously, they weren't all 5s, there were 4s, a bit sprinkled in there, which means, again, I wasn't the best AP student either. But I still managed to get into a good school. APs aren't everything, GPs not everything, SATs not everything. That just shows you that I'm not the perfect straight A student. I don't get 5s. I'm not a 1600 genius. And yet, you still have a chance to go to a good school. And I'm pretty sure my extracurricular activities played a big part in this, which I will go over right now. And yes, since I took 8 AP tests and got over 4s and over 5s on that, I did get a letter of commendation, which is a little card that says you did well on AP tests. It's I think it's you need to get over 4 for 8 AP tests that you took up to junior year. So that was pretty sweet. And currently in senior year, I'm taking Computer Science A, AP Lit, AP Calculus BC, and Macro, but I was planning to not take Lit and take Micro. So that's 4 AP tests for senior year. It means that you don't give up in senior year. Senioritis doesn't affect you, even though in this pandemic world where we have online learning and distance learning, senioritis is asking for it to come. All right, next, the juicy stuff. Let's talk about activities. But before that, let's actually talk about honors a bit. So honors, there are 5 objects that you could put in honors, 5 things. My first thing was HSK Level 5 certificate. So if you guys aren't aware, HSK stands for 汉语写拼考试, which translates roughly to the Chinese proficiency test. There's 6 levels, level 1 to 6. I got a level 5, which means that's a second highest level. Level 6 is like that level of like even fluent Chinese people would have hard times getting like perfect hundreds. I mean, they could probably pass, but like perfect 300s, they would have troubles with it. And I passed the level 5, so that was my first honor I put. That's a national level thing, and that was a pretty big deal on my part. It shows that I'm a global person. I can speak Chinese and all that. The next 2 things I wrote were like school recognition awards for mathematics and world language. For world language, it wasn't Chinese. When I moved to America, I switched to Latin. This was because when I was in Korea, I learned up to Chinese 4, and when I came over to America, if I continued to do Chinese, it would be AP Chinese, but I didn't want to stress myself out for the first year in America, so I switched to Latin 1. So it was pretty easy, Again, I think it shows that, I do a lot of languages. It's a global aspect kind of thing. So yeah, those were the 2 school awards. The next 2 were, I got a maxima cum laude in the National Latin exam, which again, it was pretty easy. It was Latin 1, but comparatively still, I did pretty well in the Latin 1 national exam. So again, it shows that, I do care about languages. It's part of my honors that I put in here. And the last one, the 5th one, was the AMC 12A. I got the highest score in my school for the AMC 12A, so that was a pretty stellar thing. I didn't get close to Amy or whatever the next level is. Nowhere close to that, no. My score actually wasn't that good either, but comparatively, in my school, I got first place, so that was obviously one of the things I put in. I didn't put the letter of commendation of the AP tests in the honor section because compared to other things, it's pretty trivial. Alright, so let's hop on over to activities, shall we? So, there are 10 activities that you can put. My first 2 were like internships, one thing I did a summer camp internship and all that. It was regarding finance at a finance company, and I did that over summer break and a bit into the senior year fall, first semester school year thing. And the next one was a retail internship I actually made a video about this in the summer, I think. You can go check it out if you want. I'll try to put the link in the description. So yeah, it was a retail internship at I work in a gift shop, help the manager and stuff. It's regarding business, which is my major. And I think these top 2 things were the most important things that, guided me towards the direction. It's like why I'm interested in business, why I think I'm a good fit for business, and all those things, like all these experiences that just lead up to the thing. And the retail internship I actually did for 1 year, but right before the 1 year mark, the pandemic shut down like basically all facilities, right? So I couldn't reach that exact 1 year mark, but I did it for a year. So these were good experiences that I was able to add to my application. Another thing I did was become the president of a speech club. There was like a student run speech club, and I was the president of that. So that was another good thing. It's like not business, but like leadership. Leadership positions, those are always important in university applications. This leadership thing, it was a pretty good thing. You're not only directed towards business, but you can also do leadership and other things. Another unique thing I did was write a book about my first travel to Canada in grade 4, the experiences of living abroad for the first time, moving abroad, new experiences, culture experiences, all those things. I wrote a book about it. And I think that's one of the things that put me apart, that made me stand out a bit from other applicants. I'm pretty sure students just don't regularly write a book. Yes, they can get good SAT scores and good AP scores, but they just don't write a book. And I'm pretty sure this is like one of those things that just highlighted me, who writes a book, really. So that was one of the activities that I put in here. I'm pretty sure this played a big role. It also shows the global aspect of me because it shows that I've moved around more. And another thing is I was the business manager and the co-founder of a student-run club that we did. It was an escape room club, and I was the co-founder and the business manager for. There's also a video on this on my YouTube channel. Wow, there's so many things. But again, that leadership and also that business position, that I'm interested in the business major, it shows that, again, it's pretty important. Academically, it shows that I'm not only in that area, I'm also in the STEM area. I was a competitor or a member of my school's Science Olympiad team. again, shows that I'm diversified. And I did that for 2 years, which shows, just good dedication. So that was good. I also did volunteer activities. So back in Korea, again, as I told you, I didn't tell you this, I was in an orchestra where I played cello. But since coming here, schedule conflicts just stopped me from doing swimming and orchestra. So, there was a 2-year, gap, I guess, the pause between the activities. So since I couldn't do orchestra in America, I decided to take up on volunteering, using that cello skills to teach younger children from low-income families in Santa Ana to teach students how to play the cello with other kids who knew how to play other instruments like violin, trumpet, clarinet, piano, you name it. Tons of other high school students, and we taught the children together. I did 2 volunteer services just exactly like that, and that was also good. Using my skills, since I can't do it in orchestras, just using those skills again just to, be a better good for society, for volunteer. The 9th activity I put was, my participation in my Korean school orchestra. That was a pretty big deal because I did that for 2 years straight. I was a cellist again. But the 10th one was something called Ami, spelled A-M-I-S. Not French exactly, but it's pronounced like Ami in Korea. So I was in an international school again. Ami was like this huge international thing all over the world. What it was is that students from all over the world from international schools would audition for this thing. And if they got in, they're part of like this big orchestra. And so in grade 9, I had the chance to go to Luxembourg, from Korea to Luxembourg, which was crazy. I think that was the first time I went to Europe, which is crazy. So, these things, you just add all these things. I mean, it was like a huge deal because it was on another level. Our school sent many people, so our school was like crazy about it. Yeah, it was a crazy deal, which shows that, I'm, academics, STEM, business, whatever related, that's also fine, but like I can also do music, which shows, the diverse aspects of me. So those are all my activities. As you can tell, it has a break from grade 10 and grade 9 and grade 11 and 12. I was put at a pretty big disadvantage because I couldn't continue everything for 4 years in that, yeah. I didn't write about school clubs because there were so many things I did outside of school. I didn't write about school clubs because they weren't that significant. The last thing I want to go over in this video is personal essays, obviously. Personal essays are a pretty big part of the application. So there's the Common App essay, and NYU had only 1 supplement. Very simple question. Why NYU? So for me, the deal was you got to, grab the admission officer's attention with 1 single essay. I mean, like Stanford had tons of questions. They had short answer questions, like long answer questions. USC also had like 1-word answers or whatever, like super short answers, like long answers. NYU had only 1. Why NYU? So my plan was to like get their attention as much as possible in the Common App essay and the essay. You gotta highlight yourself. You gotta tell why you're special, why you stand, how you stand out, why you actually want to come to NYU, in my case, Stern. And it's your voice. It's basically your voice. You can have the most freedom as you want. While other things you can, like GPA, SAT, AP, it's like the same. It's like in that same playing field. Activities is like the area where you can spice things up, where you can show what kind of person you are. And I think these supplements and the essays are another big part that kind of like highlights your voice. It's your voice. It tells admission officers who you are, what you can bring to the table. And that's why I think it was pretty significant for me. It really matters. And NYU Stern apparently saw the best in me, probably because of all the activities and maybe the essay, because the activities were the same. It's like the Common App thing that went to all schools, but it's the essay that differed for NYU, right? So maybe that played a part. Maybe the essay did play a big part in me. Anyways, this all led to, as you can tell from the title, me getting into NYU Stern from an American public school with a full scholarship, which I still think is crazy when I just think about it. I'm just like, what were the odds that I moved to America and into a public school from a private school in grade 11, which is like the most important year, got bad grades, not super bad, but it's worst, comparatively the worst, in senior year first semester, and then get into NYU Stern as literally the last school announced with a full scholarship. And I still think that's crazy, and I do think it's a great privilege. And yeah, this is how I got into NYU Stern. So anyways, guys, if you guys have enjoyed this video and if you guys found this helpful, please leave a like button so that I can know how many people I helped. Leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions about it so that I can answer them. If I can't answer them, I'll try the best to. And of course, subscribe to my channel because I've been seeing some growth lately because of the college stuff I've been putting out. Hopefully when I do go to Stern, I can make some content about Stern that people might find interesting. But before then, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, leave a like, subscribe, comments, and I'll be seeing you guys later. Goodbye.